We're about craft. We're not machines.
The reality is that trust is costly. It takes an incredibly long time to build trust. It was interesting, there was an interview with the artistic director of Hermes a number of months ago, talking about this idea of craft, taste, doing things that are costly, that require trust. And I thought this was an interesting tidbit.
If I went to the Mercedes dealership and I said I would like that car, and they said, okay, you're gonna have to wait 5 years, they'd be out of business.
Yeah, but you're talking about industrial production. You're applying your thinking structure of industrial production to craft. We're about craft. We're not machines. You understand?
There's no way of speeding it up and keeping quality.
Speed is the structuring value of the 20th century. We went from horse carriages to the internet. Are we going to be so obsessed with speed and immediate satisfaction? Maybe not. Maybe there is another form of relation to the world which is linked to patience, to taking the time.
Costly signaling is this idea that by putting in extraordinary effort, it can result in greater trust and meaning and significance with your end members. This doesn't just have to be around doing something that's expensive, but it could be around how you treat people. It could be the energy that you show. I actually believe that we need more friction. Listen, I believe in digital. I believe that we should make things that are fast and efficient and self-service and transactional, absolutely. But the way that our members are going to value us is when we make things more meaningful and magical and memorable and awe-inspiring. To me, this is the differentiator for building societies. And my belief is that in an AI world, in a digital world, that's where the world is moving, that the experience is the brand. Your brand is not your logo. It's not your colors. It's not the mission statement. It's the story that's embedded in the hearts and minds and souls of your members at the end of the day. You know, I think one of the biggest misconceptions as to why I am here is I'm here to give you some sort of advice, or I'm here to give you some answers. But the real reason why I'm here today is to challenge you. You know, this incredible sector has been around for 250 years this year. By the way, that deserves a round of applause, okay? 250 years, that's incredible. 1775, Richard Ketley had a bar, invited a bunch of people over and said, you know what, why don't we put some money together to buy everyone some houses and this whole society will dissolve. And 250 years later, you're still around. It's incredible. It's beautiful. In fact, actually, the building society was the original disruptor. And my job today, 250 years later, is to ask you the question, how do you just disrupt yourself? And so today, my job is to disrupt you and to disrupt your thinking a little bit. In fact, if you do not disagree with my presentation at the end of this, then I didn't do my job. So come up to me afterwards and tell me what you disagreed with. Because today, the only thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ask some really bold questions. That's it. That's the only thing I'm gonna do, is ask some really bold questions. And before I start though, I have a question for you, because I'm from Canada. We have a new prime minister, a new boss. His name is Mark Carney. And as it turns out, he was also your boss, the governor of the Bank of England. And I'm just here as a Canadian here in England just to ask, just to do a reference check. How was he? Was he okay? He was okay? Did he show up on time? Did he get along with people? I just want to make sure, okay? Because I don't know if you know this, but Canada is in a precarious situation with the United States. Donald Trump is stating that Canada is going to become the 51st state. In fact, our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, was at the White House a couple days ago, and they had a little discussion around it. I thought I would show you.
You know, as a real estate developer, you know, I'm a real estate developer at heart. when you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace, that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
But never say never. Never say never.
Never say never. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is one of the most awkward conversations I've ever seen. Maybe it wasn't for you because I don't know, when England was taking over countries, I don't know if you guys had these discussions, but anyways. Yesterday, the CEO of Fiverr emailed his entire organization, and he essentially said, I don't want to sugarcoat anything. AI is coming for your jobs, and it's actually coming for my job too. And he said, you must understand that what was once considered easy tasks will no longer exist. What was once considered hard tasks will be the new easy, and what was considered impossible tasks will be the new hard. And I think he has one thing right, which is we all need to master these particular skills. But I think what he has wrong is the possibilities and the opportunities around AI. The more accurate statement is that AI allows you to do any job. What happens when a plumber becomes a coder? When a marketer becomes an accountant? When a designer becomes an engineer? When a mother becomes a doctor? When a child becomes a teacher? Incredible possibilities arise. I don't think we've even started to think about all the implications that all the industries created because of AI. If you think about the automobile created and revolutionized all these industries, from hotels to tourism to food to trucking to energy and insurance. These industries that we never even contemplated. And my punchline is that I think the jobs of the future are going to be unimaginable. The industries that we create will be unimaginable.